Are you tired of feeling colder hands and feet than you used to, getting leg heaviness after sitting, noticing weaker erections, slower workout recovery, more stiffness in the hips and lower back, and that dull, low power feeling that hits in the afternoon after you've been in a chair too long? Do you ever stand up and feel your body take a second to turn back on, like the circulation needs to catch up? Here's the shocker. After 60, one simple daily habit can quietly choke off healthy blood flow far more than most men realize. And it's not sugar, not salt, not even cholesterol in the way people talk about it. The truth is, the chair can do more damage than the kitchen when you use it wrong. And the cheap, overlooked alternative isn't a pill, a pump, or a male vitality supplement. It's 2 minutes of movement every 30 to 60 minutes, done the right way. And most men have been doing the common thing wrong because nobody taught them that blood flow is a behavior, not a product. Most people don't realize what most people do is completely logical. Notice your circulation isn't what it was. You buy something. You buy nitric oxide boosters. You buy L-arginine, L-citrulline, beet powders, expensive vascular support stacks that cost $40 to $90 a month. You buy compression socks. You buy a smartwatch that tells you you're stressed. You take an aspirin because you heard it thins the blood. You search late at night for the one supplement that opens arteries. And it all sounds reasonable because marketing turns blood flow into a bottle. It promises you can swallow your way out of a lifestyle signal. But here's the real reason it often fails. You can't out-supplement a mechanical blockage you create for 8 to 10 hours a day. You can't take a capsule to undo what your hips, thighs, and blood vessels are doing when you sit still for long stretches. The common approach feels proactive, but it's missing the main lever. Here's the reveal, and I want you to lock onto one central claim for the rest of this video. Sitting too long without breaks is one of the most underestimated reasons blood flow declines after 60 because it triggers a hidden chain reaction. Vessel compression, sluggish venous return, reduced endothelial signaling, and a nervous system shift that keeps your circulation in economy mode. Most people don't realize blood vessels aren't just plumbing. They are living tissue that responds to movement like a muscle responds to training. The better alternative is surprisingly simple and practical. Every 30 to 60 minutes, you do 2 minutes of movement that reactivates your circulation reflexes. Biology over marketing. Instead of begging your body with pills, you cue it with motion, pressure changes, and muscle pumps it recognizes instantly. Here's the real reason this works. Another overlooked factor is the muscle pump. Your veins, especially in the legs, rely on your calf and thigh muscles, squeezing them to push blood back up toward the heart. When you sit still, that pump goes quiet. Think of it like a manual water pump. When you stop pumping, water doesn't stop existing, but flow slows, pressure changes, and the system gets stagnant. The common method loses effectiveness because supplements try to dilate vessels, but dilation doesn't help much if the pump is off and the blood is pooling. The better alternative naturally solves that factor because 2 minutes of walking, heel raises, or marching turns the pump back on and changes pressure gradients in seconds. Most people don't realize there's also a valve issue. Veins have little one-way valves that prevent backflow. They work best when flow is regular. When flow becomes sluggish, the valves get stressed and blood can pool more easily. That pooling creates a feeling of heaviness, swelling, and sometimes that itchy or restless sensation at night. The analogy is a check valve in a pipe. It's designed for steady flow, not long stagnant pauses. The common method loses effectiveness because you can't supplement a check valve back into good function. The better alternative solves it because frequent movement creates frequent opening and closing cycles that support healthy valve behavior. Another overlooked factor is endothelial signaling. The endothelium is the inner lining of your blood vessels. It senses friction from blood moving past it, called shear stress. That friction isn't damage, it's information. It tells the endothelium to release nitric oxide and other signaling molecules that help vessels relax and respond. When you sit for long periods, shear stress drops. It's like a dim signal to your vessel lining. The key is nitric oxide production isn't only about what you swallow, it's about what your vessel wall senses. The common method loses effectiveness because men chase nitric oxide boosters while starving the endothelium of the movement-generated signal that actually tells it to produce and use nitric oxide effectively. The better alternative solves it because those 2-minute breaks spike shear stress and remind the endothelium to do its job. Another overlooked factor is mechanical compression at the hips. When you sit, your hip flexors shorten, your pelvis tucks, and you can compress major vessels in the groin area. You're not blocking blood like a clamp, but you are reducing optimal flow patterns and creating a kinked hose effect. Think of a garden hose. Water still moves, but not as freely when the hose is bent sharply. The common method loses effectiveness because you're trying to push more water through a hose you keep bending for hours. The better alternative solves it because standing up, extending the hips, and taking steps unkinks the line and restores a straighter path for flow. Most people don't realize blood flow is also controlled by the nervous system. Another overlooked factor is sympathetic tone. When you sit too long, especially in a hunched posture, your body can drift into a low-grade stress pattern, not panic stress, more like conserve and protect. That increases sympathetic output and can narrow smaller blood vessels, especially in the extremities. It's like the body quietly deciding, we don't need full circulation out there right now. The common method loses effectiveness because you can take a vasodilator but still have the nervous system commanding a tighter baseline. The better alternative solves it because movement shifts autonomic balance, improves breathing mechanics, and signals safety and activity, which encourages healthier vascular tone. Another overlooked factor is metabolic traffic. After 60, many men have some degree of insulin resistance. Long sitting reduces GLUT4 activity in muscle and lowers glucose uptake. Blood sugar stays higher, insulin stays higher, and that biochemical environment can impair nitric oxide and stiffen vessels over time. Picture it like rush hour traffic. When muscles don't open the lanes by contracting, nutrients and signals get stuck in circulation instead of being pulled into tissue. The common method loses effectiveness because men treat blood flow like a standalone issue when it's deeply tied to metabolic pathways and mitochondrial demand. The better alternative solves it because short movement breaks create tiny metabolic resets that improve glucose handling without needing a full workout. Another overlooked factor is blood viscosity and hydration behavior during sitting. When you sit for hours, you often drink less, you breathe more shallowly, and you snack more. That can nudge the blood toward thicker flow characteristics and worsen microcirculation. Think of syrup versus water. The common method loses effectiveness because men add supplements but keep the viscosity problem alive through behavior. The better alternative solves it because movement naturally increases thirst cues, improves breathing depth, and encourages better fluid distribution across compartments. Now let's make this practical because the key is consistency, not intensity. You don't need a gym, you don't need spandex, you need a repeatable trigger. Here are easy ways to do the 2-minute circulation break every 30 to 60 minutes. First, tie it to a simple cue. Every time you finish a phone call, every time you send an email, every time a TV episode ends, you stand up. Second, do a 2-minute walk loop inside your home, from the kitchen to the hallway and back, or around the room, just enough steps to get the calves pumping. Third, if walking isn't possible, do 30 seconds of heel raises, 30 seconds of marching in place, 30 seconds of gentle body weight squats to a chair, and 30 seconds of hip extensions where you squeeze the glutes and open the front of the hips. Fourth, keep a water glass in another room on purpose so you have to stand to refill it because hydration and circulation like teamwork. Fifth, use the bathroom rule. Never go and come back to sitting without at least 20 steps. The habit is tiny, but the signal is big. And the thing is, objections pop up immediately, so let's handle them. What if you forget? That's the most common one. Most people don't realize forgetting is not a character flaw. It's a design problem. You need an external cue. Set a simple timer for 45 minutes. Not because you're weak, because your environment is strong. Or use anchoring. Every time you drink water, you stand and do 10 heel raises. That's it. You're turning a random day into a patterned day. The common method creates an illusion of progress because you buy something once and assume it's handled, but your body changes only when the signal repeats. What if your knees or back are sensitive? Good question. The key is you're not trying to train hard. You're trying to restore flow. Walking slowly still works. Heel raises still work. Even standing tall and shifting weight side to side can work. Blood flow responds to pressure changes, muscle contractions, and posture resets. The common method loses effectiveness because pain makes men avoid movement, then they rely more on products, which never rebuild the pump. The better alternative is adjustable. 2 minutes can be gentle and still be powerful. What if you already walk or exercise, but you still sit a lot? Here's the real reason that happens. One workout does not erase 8 hours of stillness. Your body doesn't average it out the way your brain wants it to. The physiology is more immediate. Long, uninterrupted sitting changes vascular function within that same day, so you can be fit and still get the sitting penalty. The key is breaking up sitting time. That's why this strategy is so effective. It targets the pattern that's doing the damage in the moment. What if you think you need a bigger dose of movement, like 20 minutes every hour? Not necessary and often unrealistic. Remember, we're building a habit that survives real life. 2 minutes is small enough to do when you're busy and strong enough to change the signal. Consistency beats intensity. Most people don't realize your vessels respond to frequent reminders more than occasional hero sessions. Now let's expand benefits beyond blood flow, because the payoff is multi-system. When circulation improves, oxygen delivery improves. When oxygen delivery improves, mitochondria make ATP more efficiently, and you feel steadier energy instead of that flat fatigue. When energy stabilizes, you move more naturally, and joints feel less stiff. When joints feel better, you sleep better because pain signals drop at night. When sleep improves, cortisol rhythms normalize, and your vessels become more responsive. When vessels respond better, erectile function often improves because erections are a blood flow event plus a nerve signaling event. And when that improves, confidence improves, which reduces stress, which again supports circulation. It's a loop in the right direction. Most people don't realize microcirculation matters as much as big arteries. You can have okay numbers at the doctor and still have sluggish perfusion in the small vessels that feed nerves, skin, and muscle. That's why your hands feel cold, why your feet go numb, why recovery feels slower. The key is small vessels listen closely to nervous system signals and local muscle activity. 2-minute breaks feed that system throughout the day. Another overlooked factor is lymphatic flow. The lymph system helps clear cellular waste and manage fluid balance. It also depends heavily on movement. When you sit, lymph flow slows, swelling increases, and inflammatory signals can linger longer. Think of it like a cleaning crew that only works when the building has power. Movement is the power. The common method loses effectiveness because men treat swelling and stiffness as age when it's often a flow management issue. The better alternative solves it because it keeps the cleanup moving. Now, the mindset shift. This is where a lot of men after 60 either get bitter or get smarter. Stop chasing the fantasy that the right bottle will override the wrong pattern. The body isn't impressed by labels. It responds to biological compatibility. It responds to pressure changes, muscle contractions, breathing, posture, and rhythm. Supporting beats forcing. Foundation beats hacks. And here's the real reason this is so empowering. You don't need to fix your body. You need to stop sabotaging it with uninterrupted sitting. Your circulation is not broken. It's adaptable, but it adapts to what you repeatedly do. So keep the title in your mind as a warning, not as a diagnosis. Sitting too long without breaks can quietly reduce blood flow after 60. The solution isn't expensive. It's not complicated. 2 minutes every 30 to 60 minutes. Do it at home. Do it at work. Do it while watching TV. Do it even on lazy days, because those are the days your vessels need the signal the most. Adopt the simple foundation consistently and stop depending on the weaker approach of chasing quick fixes. Your body will respond to the pattern you feed it. Make the pattern support you.